In the case of Laura, she has allowed other people to trample on her a lot. And I think, thankfully, me as Melissa, I don't allow that.
Kristen Maldonado from Pop Culture Planet. Tommy, it's great to meet you. And Melissa, it's great to see you again. We spoke during Carmen.
Oh, hey, good to see you again.
You. I gotta say, the musical theater, the romance, the horror. I love that this film does it all, but also lets you guys tap into all of your different skill sets. For you, Melissa, I feel like Laura uses her inner rage to really find her voice and stand up for herself. And I feel like you are a person who also uses your voice to stand up for what you believe in. And I was wondering if you were able to use any of your own experiences when you were exploring Laura's identity and her journey.
I did, yeah. I mean, I think in the case of Laura, she has allowed other people to trample on her a lot. And I think, thankfully, me as Melissa, I don't allow that because I think my mom has always been there for me, which I think Caroline was so brilliant in making her mom be an absent mom in the movie because I do think that that helped me build who she is and why she seeks these relationships with people and kind of gives all of herself to others and keeps nothing to herself. And I wanted to. I think I knew that it was going to be easier for me to imbue my strength into Laura because I'm used to playing strong characters. So I was a little bit more focused in having her at the beginning, that like doormat Laura that has allowed people to step on her and that is at the, rock bottom of her life. How do I play that truthfully and honestly and at the same time funny? I don't know, funny? Because like I was like, okay, has to be funny, but I want it to also feel very real. So it was finding who she is at the beginning that was the challenge for me. But Caroline is such a brilliant director that she knew how to guide me.
Tommy, I want to ask because I heard that you're an improv genius. So I was curious if you had a favorite moment that you got to bring to life in the film that maybe wasn't even necessarily in the script.
I have my favorite improv moment with you. You,
Well,
you.
I don't know if these will overlap. First of all, the script is brilliant, so, and you've got to have that foundation to do anything. And I think in the film medium, like good improv comes off of the security of having that. So I want to make sure Caroline gets her credit for it there. But once we got ripping in that house, and Melissa and I started to feel looser with one another and more comfortable, we did improvise a fair amount. One day that was really kind of free, and I don't know if it was because we were in a hurry or what, was when he comes in and she's watching. I think this scene has leaked. It's not leaked, but it was offered on the internet
Yeah.
somewhere. And she's watching a movie, and he interrupts, and he just starts messing around with the stuff on the bookshelf and talking about little books, and there's a little dog. And
Lots of little things.
it became a real joy for me to try to break Melissa, and I got pretty close. She's a real pro, but I get pretty close.
I'm not a pro at all. I am that person that is laughing the entire time and breaking and ruining takes, and it was so hard with this dude because his goal was to make me laugh. That was his goal. And thankfully only on your coverage you were making me laugh. So I wasn't ruining takes.
Although there's a mirror two shot in the bathroom where he pops up behind her. He's like, "Hello, what are you reading?" That like you have to have us both in the shot. So there's a lot of unusable stuff there.
A lot.
I think like practically speaking, and to be like nerdy for a second, right on the other side of breaking though is the magic. Like is that energy of like these two people are connected. She's only going to break if she's listening to what I'm doing and kind of, engage with it. So I think that's in a movie like this, it's sort of a good place to live.
Caroline, I know this is your feature directorial debut and you also wrote this story. So how did you like prepare to bring all of this to life? What kind of inspired you when it came to bringing your monster to the screen?
I've always loved romantic comedies. Nora Ephron, Nancy Myers, Rob Reiner, some of my idols. But I think that my favorite rom-coms usually come from, real stories. And, I think about Heartburn, Nora Ephron's Heartburn. It's like such a, truthful story for her. And this film was based on a period of my life when I was, was diagnosed with cancer. I was broken up with my boyfriend at the time, and really, I went through a rough period, and I during that moment of my life, I really developed a relationship with my anger for the first time. And initially, I was afraid of that part of myself, but then I started kind of falling in love with that side of myself, because I think your anger is a way to identify a problem in your life and to like get you off the floor and kind of take back your power. And so, over the course of my 20s, when I'm like always looking for potential romantic story ideas, I was like, you know what? This period of my life was kind of like I fell in love with my anger. It's kind of like I fell in love with my monster. And I'm like, I think that's a really good idea for a weird take on a rom-com. So I started writing it, and then I applied. I found out about this grant program through Women in Film, and I applied for the grant. I got the grant. I made a proof of concept for the feature. And then from there, once people started seeing the proof of concept, Kayla got involved, Merman got involved, and then, and then now we're here and we have a feature film. So it took many years, but very grateful that now it's about to be released into the world finally.
Wow. I didn't realize how, much you were pulling from your own experiences. So that's really cool to see, how you were able to take that and turn it into something creative that, so many people can connect with. And you mentioned, working with Kayla, I love just like women working together on film and getting to, kind of put your voices out there. So for you, Kayla, what was it like kind of coming together as a team? What was kind of like the key to your teamwork and representing women in this project?
Caroline and I are really close friends. So that was always kind of the base of it, knowing that we're two women in our 30s doing this together, that it's no matter what going to be more challenging in different ways to have a team full of women, but we wanted to take that on. We felt like it was so important to this story to have so many women behind the camera. And I think my main goal as a producer in general, but really on this, was to protect Caroline's vision and protect her. This story was so personal to her. And so it was really special to get to work so closely with how close our relationship is, because we got to really talk through everything she had been through and everything she felt in that moment and everything we feel now in encountering the world as women and our own personal rage. And so, despite the challenges that come with being a team of women, it was also such a magical experience because of that.
You mentioned Caroline and the incredible work that she did on this film. And I was curious, what it was like working on a set kind of led by women in horror, which I think is just really awesome. What was that like for you guys?
I felt so safe and so taken care of, and it felt like easy. I think the crew would also be able to say that they all felt valued and respected, and like they were part of the team. Everyone was so invested. I don't think I've ever seen a crew so invested in a story before. And I think that all trickles from the top. You have the director and the producers that are making everybody feel that way and feel safe. And the energy was always beautiful.
Yeah, and she, like, this story is born of her DNA. And so part of that comfort came from, like, if we're making her happy, then we're on the right track. She's this very rare combination of team player, let's find this together, but also the ultimate authority and arbiter of what stays and what goes. And that's like great. So she's not a dictator. There's freedom to do what we want to do, but like making her giggle or swoon behind the monitor was the ultimate, like, okay, we can move on to the next scene.
She's very expressive, which is beautiful to have in a director, because she, like, her enthusiasm was palpable.
Yeah.
And so it's great for, insecure little actors like us.
Did you
that
like
we're
us?
like, did you like it? Was it good? And we'd know if
Right.
she liked it.
She
Like,
does a lot of
yeah.
a lot of that.
Yeah, so it was great.
two of my favorite scenes. One was Melissa in that stunning Bride of Frankenstein costume. So good. And also, you know, the musical, I'm a big musical lover. So the musical moments, what was it like kind of bringing those kind of aspects to this project?
Because this is a story about a woman finding her voice, and because I grew up in New York City, I grew up going to musicals and watching musicals. Kayla grew up in the musical theater world. I think we felt like we knew that space, and we felt like it was very, very appropriate for the character arc of our protagonist, Laura Franco, because, you know, what better place for a more docile, meeker woman to find her voice and on a big Broadway stage, singing proudly to hundreds of people. So we wanted to set it in that world, and because I've never directed a Broadway show before, we made sure that we, you know, filled our team with a lot of people who actually work in that space all the time. And I think that created a very, you know, nice, safe working environment within the chaos of making indie film, to effectively put on a Broadway show in a few days. Usually takes years and years, but we really had people who knew what they were doing, supporting us. So that was key to bringing it to life.
I want to thank you guys so much for your time. I think people are going to really love this. And Melissa, it's just so exciting to see a Latina just really like leading and owning this space. So I'm just so excited for you. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Consider subscribing if you like this video and get even more entertainment news at popcultureplanet.net. See ya!